Ultimate Halo.
So some of you guys may have seen my video last week which was titled Why People Think Halo is Dead, which I simply said that that's a ridiculous statement. You can't proclaim that a game is dead for very ludicrous reasons. It still has a player base, so it's not actually dead, it's just not that successful. And whilst it does have some positives, I said we also have to be critical about the flaws and not just say it's dead without inciting any real criticism. With that said, today I want to talk about the art style. The change from what we had in the Bungie days to what we have now from 343 Industries. I'm just going to be blunt and straightforward, and my biggest problem with the art style is that it's drastically changed. For a sci-fi series that was as iconic as Halo was when it first released many years back, when Bungie created this whole world, they created it with a style. And we had this style for Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach, and even the first Halo Wars. And then Bungie, they departed from the series, and Microsoft created 343 to keep it going. Now I understand 343 wanted to make it their own, that makes sense. But to change the art style was probably one of their worst decisions, because they've changed, as my friend Hidden Xperia would say, what made the series so iconic. There was a set art style, we had it for years and years and years. It had, again, iconic pieces to it, from the Forerunner tech to the Covenant tech to the human tech. All the worlds that we saw, they had a certain aesthetic to it, they had a certain texture to it, and 343 drastically changed these. And why I dislike it so much is because it doesn't make sense with the consistency of that universe that has been already created. A simple analogy, which again, I've stated him before, I'll state him again, Hidden Xperia, he's probably one of my favourite YouTubers to watch when it comes to discussing these things. But like when Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, you wouldn't see Disney all of a sudden change so much of the art style that was already built up in Star Wars so that they could make it their own, because that's insane. Yes, Star Wars has been around for longer, but it still stands that it has art style and you wouldn't change it. You'd just revamp it. You know, there's new technology, so you'd make it look a little better, you know, more polygons and whatnot. I don't know the full ins and outs to texture design with these things, but it's straightforward and simple. The thing that 343 should have done is to continue with this art style, but just vamp it up a little, not drastically change so much of what made Halo so iconic. Favourite word, Hidden Xperia, now I understand why you use it so much. But that's the thing, it was iconic. You have to emphasise how this was a style that immediately made people think to Halo. Now I'm not trying to completely shit on 343 here and say, you fucked up, this is the most ridiculous thing. They shouldn't have changed it so drastically just to make it their own. They could have done something completely different. They could have introduced their own new world into the Halo universe with all these new art styles and have made it their own through that manner. That's essentially the easiest route to go with it, not change what was already set. If from the beginning of Halo, from Halo 1, the Forerunner designs was all these shiny, floaty, lens flare blaring lights, then Halo 4, Halo 5's Forerunner art style would be okay, because it was like that since the beginning, but it wasn't like that since the beginning, so it shouldn't have been like that now. Forerunners have been gone for a long while, how the hell would it have cleaned itself up so drastically? And not even cleaned itself up, changed the shape of its buildings and its certain aesthetics that were so iconic to the Forerunner tech. You know, it doesn't make sense. And I have the same qualm with the human aesthetics as well. It's not as drastic as it was with the Forerunner tech or the Covenant tech. I know I don't want to delve too much into the Covenant art style because Hidden Xperia has talked about that a lot. You've seen other YouTubers do it, same with the Forerunner stuff. But with human tech, you know, I think my biggest dislike with it is not the new Spartans, because they're new Spartans, but Master Chief's Spartan 2s. They've now got this new armor, and people say, oh, what, nanobots or some ridiculous thing like that from Halo 4, which no, that's not the case, because if you watch the cutscenes from Halo 4, when they're having the flashbacks to when Master Chief first got his armor, he's got the armor that they've introduced in Halo 4, not the armor that he had in Halo 1. So clearly, 343 were trying to reinvent the whole aesthetic. That was not smart, because that's clearly how you would lose a large proportion of your following, or a good hefty chunk of your following. Another analogy which you don't see that often is Prometheus, Ridley Scott's film in the Alien universe. Prometheus was set before all the Alien movies, but when you look at the tech that's on the ship in Prometheus, that looked insanely way advanced than the tech that they had in Alien. Sure, there was the story that it was through this really wealthy businessman that he was able to invest in all this amazing tech, but it was still a bit outlandishly ludicrous. It looked great, but was inconsistent with the Alien universe. And then we look at the game Alien Isolation, and that was a game that went back to the Alien aesthetic, its core elements from those classic films. You know, all the tech that was in there was the tech that we saw from the Alien movies all those decades back. Personally, that's why I enjoyed Alien Isolation so much. Like I said before, same thing applies to the Halo universe. There was a set art style, 343 should have continued with it, they didn't, they changed it. Inconsistency amongst the universe doesn't make sense, big flaw. And this is a flaw which I'm hoping we're seeing getting better, and we saw with Halo Wars 2, especially with the human and Covenant side of things, that they are trying to go back to the roots of what made that style so iconic, whilst also being new. The aesthetic that we've seen in the past, but it looks newer because of what the next gen consoles can offer. So it makes sense, and this is consistent with the whole universe. Unfortunately, they couldn't do exactly the same with the Forerunner tech, and I feel like the Forerunner side were a bit far gone with this now. They've gone down the path, and it probably is their best bet to just continue on with it, as much as I hate to say it, because I do love the classic Forerunner tech. There's probably a happy balance that they can mould the old with the new slowly, some way. Who knows? One can only hope. But I'm going to wrap up this video now because it's been going on for a long while. Like I said, these are all my opinions and not the opinions of Kenny or Jack, solely my own, but I enjoy doing these topical conversation type stuff and debating my opinions with everyone. Last week was great, there was a lot of response to the comments, both for and against what I said, and this is what I'm enjoying from these videos, is that we're getting a debate going, an open conversation flowing with these things, and really this is what we need, is just engagement. So it's really good to see everyone talking about it, because this is what will hopefully make an impact with future Halo games, who knows. Thank you all for watching this video, and thank you for commenting on last week's video. If you enjoyed this one, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and in the comments down below, let me know your thoughts on the art style. Also check out people like Xperia and the Act Man, who do more in-depth videos about all this. This is literally me just sharing my opinion, because I mean I want to, and I enjoy doing this type of thing. Let me know also what you'd like to hear from me in the future, or if you don't want to hear anything from me in the future. I'm going to still say stuff, but that's cool, just let me know. I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm Dean Abdou here on Ultimate Halo, and thank you for watching.
Subscribe now to Ultimate Halo for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.